House Republicans demanding answers from the Biden administration over, quote, alarming surveillance on Americans.
Documents show federal investigators asked banks to comb through transactions for terms like MAGA and Trump in the aftermath of January 6th.
Our next guest is a former FBI agent who is calling out the lack of due process. Fox News contributor Nicole Parker joins us now. Nicole, is this commonplace that our federal agencies would be searching? We'll put some of the other keywords up there that were revealed were part of this investigation. Trump, MAGA, Bass Pro Shops, Cabela's. Apparently the Bible was on the list. Help us out here.
Yeah, let me put this into context for you. First of all, this is absolutely alarming, but yet it's not shocking because we're seeing this pattern over and over within the federal government and the FBI where they are doing things of this nature. Let me put some context here. As a former FBI agent who was working at the FBI when January 6th occurred, I will tell you that this is the #1 priority for the Department of Justice and the FBI. It is currently on the FBI's website. You can see it right now. It says that the investigation into the January 6th Capitol riots is the largest ever investigation that FBI has conducted. Okay, I also was a witness to the September 11th terrorist attacks in New York City. In my opinion, September 11th it was much more dangerous to our country than January 6th. But that is not how the FBI sees it. It is not how the Department of Justice sees it. They reallocated resources from very dangerous crimes such as human trafficking, crimes against children. They put all hands on deck for January 6th. So in their view, there's nothing wrong with this. They saw this as a national security threat, and they had to do everything they could to stop it. And the people that are the threat are those that supported President Donald Trump and the MAGA movement on January 6th. So they think that this is completely justified.
You know, Nicole, this feels like police state stuff. I find it so incredibly shocking that this is happening. I'm wondering also what's happening now that so many tapes are being released and that narrative that they use to justify spying on Americans, going through their financial records. What happens now?
Well, I can tell you that more and more people are coming forward. There are FBI special agents that are not satisfied with what is going on. They find what is happening despicable. And I would say within the agency, I'm telling you, there are good people that are holding the line, and they're the ones that are speaking up, that are exposing this type of information. Myself as an FBI special agent, not once did I get bank records or bank information without legal process, without a federal grand jury subpoena. They basically used the private sector connections to circumvent that process. And they went to these banks and said, look, this is a major national security threat. And, you know, of course, the banks are like, well, we've got to cooperate. This is a law enforcement inquiry, so we're going to help them. They're seeing themselves as partners in stopping a potential, you know, another attack in their eyes for the inauguration. That's what a lot of this was for. They tracked the debit and credit expenses between January 5th and January 7th in the D.C. area. And then they went back to them around January 15th of 2021 and said, okay, the inauguration is coming up. Look for these things and who fits into these categories so that we can prevent something bad from happening again. And so they justified all of it. And so the banks were on all hands on deck. This is a potential national security threat, and we're all partners in this.
Shame on those banks.
That's how they view it.
Shame on those banks for cooperating with the FBI like that.
Well, we'll have to leave it here, Nicole. But, what you just described reminds me of a scene in The Wire, which was about fighting the drug trade in Baltimore. And they were looking for a wiretap. And they go to the FBI and they said, now everything is about terrorism. We can't help you. Our entire departments are dedicated to stopping terrorism. You can only imagine how many crimes right now aren't going investigated because the response is, no, now everything is about January 6th. All our resources are going to January 6th.
Correct. And let me just tell you, the response to the summer of 2020 and the riots of 2020 was basically radio silence at the FBI. January 6th comes along, all hands on deck. And I'll tell you that there was an aggressive amount of violence and cities burning to the ground, federal buildings that were destroyed. What did the FBI do about that? But then January 6th comes along, all hands on deck, and they are continuing to investigate it. It is still on the FBI's homepage as of right now, over 3 years later.
Thank you so much, Nicole.
Thank you, Nicole.
My pleasure.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.